So they can see them.
Okay, great. You want to start us off, Erin?
Yeah, so I'm so excited that you're all here. I'm super ridiculously excited actually, because I know this is going to be a great training. Now, if we haven't met yet, most of us, I do recognize quite a few names on here, but if we haven't met, I'm Erin, and I've been a web designer since 2012 running my own business. I actually started making websites a ridiculously long time ago, but have been doing it professionally since 2012. And I also am an instructor. I have helped over 10,000 freelancers at this point streamline their businesses so they can make more money, save more time, and enjoy their lives. And I moved to Aspen with my husband because we love the mountain life. We love hiking and camping and all of that great stuff. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will see my cat Fred pop up quite often. He is my little fur baby.
So cute. And if you guys notice, Erin has a little cat in a suit in her background today, hanging on the wall. So if we haven't met, I'm Cami. I'm one of Erin's web designer friends, and I'm a web designer, I'm a consultant, and I'm a course creator, really on a mission to help you create a website that brings your bigger vision to life, whether that's for yourself or for your design clients. It's never just about a website. It's always about what the website makes possible for you. And that's what I love to focus on. So when I'm not geeking out about web design, I really love horse riding. I just got back into it after like 10 years off. And I love my absolute beginner hip hop dance class that I'm going to later today. It's so much fun. So while we're here today going through all of this great content, we're going to cover a lot of ground. Erin and I would love to connect with you and hear what you thought of it, hear how you're going to put all of this into action. And the best way to do that is to come find us over on Instagram. I'm at Cami Farey, and Erin is at Erin3 Flynn. So send us a DM, tag us in your stories, tag us in your posts, comment on our posts. We just love to hear from you. And now before we get started today, like I mentioned, this is a jam-packed workshop. We have a lot of really actionable content for you. So if you haven't done it yet, make sure you grab a pen and a notebook because you are definitely going to want those. Do your best to close your browser tabs, minimize distractions. I know that we all have a lot going on, but you showed up here today for a reason. So do your best to be present with us and really take in this information. And then stay tuned because we're going to have a live Q&A at the end. So somewhere on your screen right now, if you're tuning in with us live, you should see a little link that says ask a question or Q&A or something to that effect. So use that to ask any questions that you've got, and that'll help us collect all the questions in one place. And then feel free to use the chat to share insights with us, to talk amongst yourselves, to chat to Erin, all of that good stuff. We really want today to be really interactive, and I want you to know that this is your time. So let's do it. Okay, so before we dive into content today, I'd love to get to know you a little bit better. So tell me in the chat, which of these sounds most like you? Maybe you're just getting started as a designer and your goal is to hit those $5,000 months, but you literally can't imagine ever making that in a single project. With your current pricing, you're just not sure how you're going to get there without totally burning out. Or maybe you've been designing for a while and you've worked with a few clients, but you're feeling nervous that you don't have the design skills that you need to charge those premium prices with confidence. Or maybe you've been in business for a while, you're fairly established at this point, but you're feeling afraid to raise your rates and lose your clients to someone cheaper. You're worried that there's just going to be like a mass exodus after you raise your prices. No matter which one of those you relate to, you're here today because you wish you could charge $5,000 or more for your website projects with complete confidence so that you can work with fewer clients, you can work with better clients, you can create more freedom for yourself and hit your income goals while making it feel good at the same time. No burnout hamster wheel. So let me and Erin know in the chat, which stage of business are you in right now and what's been holding you back from raising those rates? I can see the little chat lighting up, but I can't see it when I'm on the slides.
Yeah.
So you want to...
Yeah, we've got twos, threes, ones. We've got it all across the board. We do have someone currently charging $5,000 plus, but most people, it seems like, are not quite there yet. So they are totally in the right place.
Awesome. And to whoever's charging 5,000 or more, awesome. I love that you're here anyway, to inspire everybody. So let's keep going. Here is what you're going to learn today. We're going to be talking all about the simple design secrets to charging 5,000 or more for your websites. So you're going to learn the one shift that I made personally to go from charging a measly $500 to 5,000 and more with confidence, even though I'm a self-taught designer and I don't have a degree in graphic or web design. We're also going to talk about the number one most important design skill you need to master if you want to charge 5,000 or more for your websites. Then we'll talk about why hiding behind your portfolio is a huge mistake and what to do instead if you really want to stand out in a crowded marketplace. This mistake I see so many talented designers making, so I'm really excited to go into this one. And then we're going to talk through a simple design trick that's going to help you promote your services and land those high-end, dreamy clients without you feeling desperate or sounding like some cheesy infomercial. And finally, we'll talk through my own favorite platform to create gorgeous high-end websites, the exact tech that clients pay me $5,000 or more to use. And the answer to this one might kind of surprise you. So now, before we get into all of that, I want to give you a little bit of a background. We'll do the Spark Notes version of how I got here and how I learned all of this stuff in the first place. So tell me in the chat as I go through if you can relate to any of this. So 3 years ago, when I started my web design business, I had never sold a single thing in my whole dang life. I never had a lemonade stand as a kid, never sold cookies, was 100% self-taught as a designer, and I had no connections in my industry, no designer friends, and no clients. I was starting from square one in basically every way possible. Now, earlier in my career, I'd worked in the art world in New York at some fancy museums and galleries where I was exposed to quite literally hundreds of millions of dollars in artwork and sales and donations every single day. So I had a lot of exposure to some big numbers and some premium prices. But despite all of this exposure, I still had never personally had to sell a single thing until my first web design client came along. And oh my goodness, I remember how nervous I was on our sales call. I had no clue what to charge her, even though I had read every single blog post on the topic and downloaded every PDF opt-in freebie. And I just was sweating bullets. So I pulled out the biggest, ballsiest, brashest number I could possibly think of. I was like, charge what you're worth. And I told her that her website was going to be $525. And to be honest with you, I have no clue where that 25 came from. I just added it as a little something extra. And yeah, it's low. It's very low. So I want to be clear with you that there is absolutely nothing wrong with charging $525 or even less, because we all start somewhere. We all have to start somewhere. But I started to do the math, and the math did not tell a fun story here. So I realized that at this price point, I would need a metric ton of clients. Roughly, to replace my corporate salary, which was about $45K, it wasn't very much. So to replace my corporate income, I'd need 86 web design clients a year. Then I started thinking, like, when you're self-employed, you have taxes and health insurance and retirement and all of this stuff. So 45K is not going to get me anywhere. So to earn a more comfortable living for somebody self-employed in New York, I thought maybe 75K will do it, in which case I would need 143 clients. And then if I wanted to make six figures, which as a beginning web designer, I saw all around me in the industry, people being like, I made 6 figures in 6 minutes. It was so great. So if I wanted to do that, I would need 190 clients. And these numbers kind of suck, right? These are not fun numbers. So since then, I've learned a lot about positioning myself in the industry and pricing my services. So fast forward, after that first project, I raised my rates from $525 to $1,200, and I kept going with each new project. And today, I confidently charge $5,000 or more for each project. Typically, my work ranges between 5,000 and 14,000. So you can see that there was quite a big jump there in a fairly short amount of time. So $5,000 per project, why are we talking about this number? To me, this doesn't just mean more money. It actually means more freedom and more time and getting to work with clients I love. And yet the math also looks way better. So to replace my corporate income, I would only need 9 clients. To earn that comfortable living, I'd need 15 clients a year. And then to make 6 figures, I'd only need 20 clients a year. And that's assuming that my clients are all only paying me $5,000, which mine aren't. So you can see these numbers start to look a lot more manageable, a lot saner, a lot more doable. And I know that this might seem like a stretch to some of you, but it's actually more doable than you might think. So I raised my rates to this point, and I got there without a background in sales, without a graphic design degree, without a massive email list, without any money for Facebook ads or a fancy funnel or any of the crap that people are going to tell you that you need. You don't need it. If I can do it, and if I can do it simply using the things that I'm going to teach you on the workshop today, so can you. This is very attainable. So tell us in the chat, what would a $5,000 project mean to you? How would that feel?
While we're waiting for them to respond, there have been some great comments in here. So I'm going to read some of those out because they're so good. Richard says that he went through a similar process with his business coach when they started, and the numbers were terrifying. And then Kate says she charged $750 for her first website, and she felt so cheated by that experience. I totally understand that. So I think everybody here has been kind of in the same boat. So we're all in good company.
Awesome. I'm so glad you guys can understand too. I knew that you would. All right. So where do we start with all of this? How do we fix this and get to those good numbers? The first thing I want to talk about is the one shift that I made to go from charging $500 to $5,000 with confidence, even though I don't have a degree in graphic design or any major connections or money for Facebook ads or any of that stuff. So the one thing that I did that's so crucial here, none of this stuff works if you don't change your mindset. So I stopped thinking like a freelancer and I started thinking like a business owner. When a client hires me for a project, that project is an investment. It's not an expense for the client. It's not money that they're never going to get back. It's money that they're going to be able to multiply. So if you think of the difference between something like paying rent and buying a house, this becomes really clear. So paying rent is an expense. It's money that we pay every month. We are never going to see it ever again. And we're always looking to get it for cheaper. You always want to get the most, the best apartment, the best house for the least, the lowest rent. That's because it's an expense. Now, when something's an investment, like buying a house, our mindset changes. What we want is the best, not the cheapest. We want a house that's going to appreciate over time, that's going to serve our families well, that's going to make us money in the end. And so we're not looking for the cheapest property. We're looking for the property that's the best value. And it's the same for you with your design projects. So the first niche I served was actors. And the value of a website to an actor isn't as obvious as it is to a small business owner. And that's because the return on investment just isn't as clear, right? You can build a $5,000 website for an actor, but the ROI isn't so direct. And so the website starts to feel like an expense for them, and therefore it feels expensive. Now, I work with service-based business owners, I work with entrepreneurs, I work with personal brands, and the value of a website is really clear to them because often the website is going to pay for itself within 1 to 2 clients, and it's really easy to book 1 to 2 clients with a great website. So because the ROI of the project is clear, suddenly a $5,000 website feels like a really exciting investment in the future of your business. It feels like great value. It doesn't feel expensive. So the takeaway that I want you to get from this is that when you want to charge $5,000 or more, charge those premium rates, the very first thing you have to do is stop thinking like a freelancer, start thinking like a business owner, and position your work in your own mind and also in all of your marketing as an investment and not an expense. So I want to know from you in the chat, Are you ready to shift your mindset around this? If you've been stuck in that freelancer mindset, are you ready to decide that you're an investment? Let me know.
We have a great semi-question. There wasn't a question mark at the end, but I'm going to read it out now because I think it's going to be applicable to so many people. Ariel says she's relaunching at $3,900. I design websites for therapists primarily, and I'm a little worried that $5,000 might be a harder sell for that audience compared to a business owner who could see an immediate major increase in profit, say a high-priced consultant or product-based business. So I guess the question is, or are there industries that maybe do not see, they are businesses, they are service-based businesses like you mentioned, but are there ones that maybe will not see the same return on investment, or is there a way that we can frame things so that they do?
It's a really good question, Ariel. I have a kind of two-part answer for you. So part one is, why is a therapist not a small business owner? Because from my perspective, that person sounds exactly like a small business owner. And what's your therapist charging per hour, and what do they want out of their website? Sometimes it's monetary ROI, and sometimes it's more intangible. It's that they see their websites of their colleagues who they think are less qualified than them, and their websites are better and they feel jealous. So they want to look better online because it'll make them feel better. That's valuable as well. That's getting a return on the investment, but it's just a little bit more subtle in terms of being able to quantify it. So I guarantee you, if somebody's going to pay $3,900 for a website, they'll pay $5,000 for a website. Like that limitation is in your brain, because the price jump between those two things isn't that crazy. Like if you've got $4,000 lying around, you have 5,000. So think through that for you. Think through what that return on investment for your therapist clientele is going to be, whether it's monetary, whether it's perception, whether it's them just feeling better and more confident about themselves. I guarantee you there are things there. And then also, to the second part of that question, there are niches that are a little more challenging than others. So I think that you can sell premium in any niche imaginable as long as you position it right. And I think that because I know personally people who are doing it. So I know somebody who's designing $5,000 websites for actors, and he's crushing it. He works with Grammy award-winning artists, Tony award-winning artists, people at a certain level of their career. So it's not that it can't be done. It's just that some niches are slightly more challenging than others. But I think for you, Ariel, for therapists in particular, those people are small business owners. So you should be good.
I totally agree with that. And I want to add in that I have worked with a therapist before, and my pricing starts at $10,500, and she totally hired me without blinking. So there's definitely a higher end in that niche where there are therapists who are charging quite a bit of money, who are looking to up-level their business even more. And so they're willing to spend over $10,000, so $5,000 would probably have been too low for her to even hire me. So there's every single level, I believe, within every single niche. So we need to stop assuming that, oh, this niche is poor and they can't afford it. That's not true at all.
Yeah, I have a friend who always says, get out of their wallets. And I think that that's really true. Like, all the tips I'm going to share with you today will help you stand firm and stand confident in your pricing so that you can be confident within yourself. And then don't worry about their side of the street. Like, it's not up to you to decide how much they can or can't afford. Like, there are people, like Erin said, who can afford all price points.
Oh, and we have one question maybe. Well, I don't know. Do you want to answer this now or at the end? It's about payments.
Let's save the questions for the end because we've got a lot of material to cover today, and I want to make sure we get to it. So let's just gather them all and we'll do a nice juicy Q&A.
Perfect.
Cool. All right. So after you've changed your mind and you've reframed some of those beliefs that have been holding you back, the next thing you need to think about is your actual design skills themselves. So here's the number one design skill you need if you want to charge premium prices for your websites, and it's strategic design. And this might sound complicated, but it's actually incredibly straightforward. All it means is that you are going to plan your client's website around their goals before diving into the visuals. So you can pull off strategic design no matter what level of designer you are. If you have no design experience, if you're just learning, if you're a super experienced designer, this is for you, and this is the most important skill to master. So we're going to go through some examples together today to help warm up your strategic design muscles and really get you in the flow of this. So not only can you go and apply it immediately to your own website, which is your best portfolio piece, but you can also start immediately applying it to your client projects. And I think you're going to be surprised by how very, very simple this is. So I want you to fill in the blanks here, either for yourself or for a client. I offer blank, blank, and blank, and I want people to hire me by doing blank. So let's imagine that we're building a website for a photographer. So your photographer client might say something like, I offer family portrait sessions, newborn photography sessions, and mini sessions, and I want people to hire me by coming to my website and booking a call. Okay, so keep that in mind. Also, feel free to take screenshots in this section. I might go fast, but get those little screenshotting fingers out, and then you'll be able to remember it. So keep this sentence in mind. And now we're going to use it to reverse engineer your client's website for sales. We're going to get them that ROI. So we're going to use that one sentence to set the website's main goal, to get clear on the tech functionality we need, to map out all of the pages, and to figure out how we're going to guide visitors to action and get them from point A to point B. So first up, setting the site's main goal. I want you to ask yourself or ask your clients, what's the most important action a visitor can take on this website? Then go back and look at that sentence. You said, I want people to hire me by visiting my website and booking a call. Bingo, that is your goal. That's your most important action, is to book a call, because that's the most important way that you get hired or you make sales, or in this case, your fictional photographer client. So after we set the site's main goal, we're going to get clear on the tech functionality we need. What does this website need to do to help achieve that goal? Well, it needs to exist in the first place, and it needs to integrate with some kind of scheduling software like Calendly or Acuity. Boom, you've just got a list of the tech tools you need. Next, we need to plan out the website's pages and content. So think about, what do your visitors need to see and read on your website to help them take that action that you've defined? So visitors to that photographer's website need to know where they can get started with her, who she is, what she offers, why she's qualified, and how to get in touch. And this maps one-to-one really easily with your website's pages. So where to get started becomes your homepage, the page that most people will see first. Who you are becomes your about page, what you offer, your services page, why you're qualified, that could be your portfolio, also your blog potentially, also your testimonials or your praise page. And then how to get in touch becomes your contact page. So you can see that these pages have not been plucked out of the ether, but they've been really strategically engineered to get to that main outcome. Now we need to figure out how we're going to get visitors to action. So think about, how are visitors on this website going to get from point A to point B? How will they book a call and take that action that we've defined? Well, here's one possible journey of many. So somebody could come to your homepage, then they could go click on over to services, and then from your services page, they could book a call. So you can sketch out some of these pathways for your own website and your own clients. There'll probably be a few different ways that people can get there, but it's really helpful to think through that user flow, and this will help reverse engineer that website for sales. So congratulations, you just helped your client plan a really strategic website. You crushed your strategic design lesson. And to recap, what you did is you kind of like flex those strategy muscles to set the main goal of the website, to figure out the tech tools that you needed, to figure out which pages you needed, and to come up with an action plan that figures out how we're going to get visitors taking action. So you've used that sentence, I offer blank, blank, and blank, and I want people to hire me by visiting my website and doing blank. One simple sentence to do all of this. And I'm telling you, this is the only thing you need to be good at doing if you want to charge premium prices for your websites. You don't need to be the fanciest designer out there. You just need to be strategic. So now that you've got this foundation in place and you've started warming up those muscles, let's take it a step further. So that hypothetical photographer client of yours gets most of her leads and her clients through word of mouth referrals. So let's plan a homepage together that's strategically designed to help her turn those referrals into clients. Okay, so the homepage is the first date of a website, right? This is where you introduce yourself, you get to know somebody a little bit, and you invite them to take a next step with you. This is not the page where you propose marriage, because that would be weird on a first date. So think about, what do your clients' referrals need to see and read on this page before taking the next step with her? So on this page, we're going to be directing people to check out her services, where then they can book a call and take that kind of put a ring on it, marriagey type step. So the way we're going to do that is by having a clear, simple, direct logo and navigation. And then in this first area here with the yellow diamond next to it, I want you to put your client's main idea or her elevator pitch, and then give it an action step. So for that photographer client, this would be a perfect place to link to her services page. And here's an example of that in action from She Can Coterie, who are a VA agency. So they're telling us here, scale your business and finally become the CEO you're meant to be with our expert business management team. Click here to see how we can help. So they've given us a short, sharp elevator pitch and a button that leads to their services page where we can learn more. Okay, so in that next section with the yellow diamond next to it, we are going to sort of summarize the 3 main offers, which is the things you sell right now, the things your photographer client sells right now. And then the action step is going to be buttons that link to the services page or link to the individual package pages for that offering. So here's an example from my client, Amy. She's a bookkeeper and she has 3 packages. She's got a high, medium, and low, and she's summarized them really nicely on her homepage so that someone can see at a glance what she offers, click the button to get more info, and then book a call with her right away. So in the next section, after the offerings, I love to follow that up with a short, friendly bio and a photo to build rapport, and then a button that links to the About page. So people can go check out who's behind this website and make sure that this photographer is a real person who they would want around their family or at their wedding. You know, I think that that mini bio and that photo is a really nice strategic touch. So here's an example from my client, Melanie, and you can see when I say mini bio, I really do mean it. This is just a couple of tiny sentences, but it just endears you to Melanie. It shows you that she's real. It shows you she's a mum, and it invites you further into her website. And then after that, I like to follow it up with a glowing testimonial, something short and sweet and results oriented, so that people who are visiting this website can see that you are who you say you are, you're as awesome as you say you are, because look, here's somebody else saying it. So here's an example of a great testimonial, and this one includes both feelings and data, which is really awesome. Now, I like to finish it up with an email list because not every lead is going to be ready to book a call right away, even really warm referral traffic. So give them an option to join your list so you can continue to nurture that relationship. So here's an example email list from my client, Rosemary. It's short, it's sweet. We're offering people a video of her sculpting a glass gecko in exchange for their email. So there you have it. That's a simple step-by-step blueprint for a homepage that's designed around the goal of turning referral word-of-mouth traffic into clients. And we've done that through the elevator pitch and the invitation to check out the services. We've done that through summarizing the offerings and then inviting people to check out the services page or the individual package pages, whichever is right for the project. We've also done it by highlighting that this website is for a real person. We've created that connection. We've backed it all up with social proof, and just in case that referral isn't ready to book just yet, we've given them the option to join an email list so that we can continue following up with them. So hopefully you can see how that little strategic sentence that I walked you through and all the planning we did then translates into a layout like this, and how you can use this to help communicate to your clients how your design is going to help get them results, how your design is going to solve a problem in their business and get them to where they most want to be. And once you can do that, you can charge however much you'd like. So my takeaway for you here is that strategic design, what we just walked through, is the number one most important skill you need to master if you want to charge premium pricing, because it really helps your clients see the value of your work. You're not just building them a pretty website, you're building them a website that's been engineered from the ground up to get them to a certain outcome. So tell us in the chat, are you excited about adding more strategy into your design projects? Is this something that you're going to start doing?
Nicola says yes with 3 S's, so I think she's pretty psyched.
Yes.
Janet too. Janet says yes. Looks like everybody's excited.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited too, because really it's such a game changer. Okay, so let's talk about the third game changer here, and that's why hiding behind your portfolio is a massive mistake and what you need to do instead if you want to stand out in a crowd of designers. So guys, tough love time. You can fill your portfolio with gorgeous work. You can spend hours on Creative Market finding just the right mock-ups, and you can really craft a beautiful portfolio. But if you want to book premium clients and you want to stand out in an ocean of other designers, then what you really have to do is stop hiding. And I see so many talented designers doing this, and I have been guilty of it myself as well. So here's a version of my homepage from a couple of years ago. And at first glance, this looks pretty good, right? It's got a clear headline and an intro. It's got a clean, modern design. It's got lots of happy-looking clients in the portfolio. But can you spot what's wrong here? Imagine that this website was dropped in a Facebook thread of 100 web designers saying, I can do your project. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it for cheaper. Pick me. You know, what's the issue with this? Well, I'll tell you that the issue with this is that I am completely hiding. I am hiding behind my very adorable clients. I'm not showing up as the leader in my industry. I'm not showing up as an expert. I'm not showing up as someone who's worth 5 to 14K per project. I'm not showing up as a guide for my future clients because I am not showing up at all. I'm nowhere to be found. Oh, no, wait, hang on a sec. Here's my old about page, and it has a nice big photo of me on it. Except for that photo was taken on vacation in Tokyo with my boyfriend's iPhone. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm showing this to you because it's actually a bit embarrassing. So the problem with this is that this design and this hiding was causing a huge disconnect. So on sales calls, I was showing up and in front of clients, I was saying, I'm an expert. I can get you what you want. I'm the best person for you to hire. Please pay me $5,000 or more. Meanwhile, my website was saying, if I shrink down really teeny tiny and you can't see me, maybe you won't bite me. Like, I'm kind of insecure. Now, can you see that disconnect there and why that might pose a challenge for booking premium clients? So this website, I want to be clear, did help me book 1 or 2 clients at that price point, but I was having to work very hard for those sales. I was having to do a lot of proving, a lot of follow-up. I was hearing no much more often than I was hearing yes, and I felt like I was having to work much too hard to make those sales. And the reason for that was this disconnect. So it's simple, and intuitively you understand this too. Which designer here would you trust more to create a $5,000 or more website for your business? Who would you hire out of these 2? Because I'll let you in on a little secret is that these 2 pictures were not taken terribly far apart in time, but the impression that they give about my level of confidence, my level of skill, my level of expertise, my level of leadership is completely different, right? This is the same person in this picture with the same skills and the same level of expertise, but what you see is really different, and that is so important. So which website here would you be more likely to remember in a Facebook thread with 200 or more comments? I think it's really obvious that the one on the left, which is my current website, is much more memorable. And that's because we connect to faces, we connect to people. When you put yourself front and center on your website, your clients aren't going to think you're selfish. They're going to think, oh my goodness, thank God, there's my guide. I have been looking for somebody to help me, and there she is. I can see her. So right now you are probably thinking, I can like hear you in my brain. You're thinking things like, I want my work to speak for itself, or I'm an introvert, or if I put pictures of myself on my website, my clients are going to think I'm selfish, or I can't afford a photo shoot, or I'm not photogenic, or all of this sort of like BS that you might be telling yourself, which I was telling myself too. I want you to know that I have had all of those same fears and hesitations. I'm not some giant extrovert who just like wants to be on camera all the time. Like all of these things I've said to myself. So I get it. But here's what happened next for me when I quit hiding behind my portfolio, and what can happen for you is I was able to book actually three pay in full clients within 2 weeks. So that is $15,000 of business paid up front within 2 weeks, paid in full. On my sales calls, my future clients were like, yep, we love you. Here's our credit card. Can't wait to get started working together. And it was because I stopped hiding and started putting myself front and center more. Plus, the way I see it is that my images are the only design asset I have that's still going to be relevant to my business years to come. No matter how many times I change my niche or my services or design trends changed, these images will still be useful and relevant. So it was a good investment on many different levels, and I want you to consider doing the same thing for yourself. So the takeaway here is that when you step into the spotlight, when you stop hiding behind your portfolio and really claim your space as a leader, you're able to effortlessly stand out from the crowd because you are just naturally different from everybody else around you. That's just a fact of being human. You are unique. So by stepping up, you're going to be able to effortlessly stand out. You'll be able to create instant trust with your clients, charge these premium prices, and charge it in a way that feels so much easier. So let us know in the chat if you were going to do a brand photo shoot like this, or if you have already, what are 3 words to describe how you want those photos to feel?
Barbara says, dang, I think I might be convinced to actually get photos done.
It was honestly, Barbara, the best money I have ever spent in my business on anything. I can't think of a single niche in which this would not be a hugely valuable asset. So like, go do it. I promise you won't regret it.
Totally. Oh, and Ariel says she wants to feel confident, friendly, sophisticated, and then in parentheses she has premium with a question mark, but I think that is totally something we want to feel.
Yes, we want to feel expensive but worth it, not cheap and cheerful like mattress discounters.
Mattress discount. Okay. Sorry, that's hilarious.
You know what I mean? Like, we want our clients to feel good about buying from us. We want to feel good about selling to them. And part of that is about creating this beautiful, easy, simple, premium experience. Because if you think about what it's like to go shop at a discount store, like, yeah, you can get bargains, but it's a massive pain in the ass. The experience is terrible. You have to wade through bins and bins of stuff. Like, it's just, I don't think it's, at least for me personally, it's not how I want my clients to feel when they come to me, and it's not how I want to sell to my clients. So I've really intentionally designed my website and my online presence to reflect how I want them to feel buying from me.
Yes, I love that.
Awesome. Cool. So are we ready to keep going and talk about a simple design trick that's going to help you promote your services without seeming desperate, without sounding like a cheesy infomercial and being all like, buy my stuff, buy it now. Yeah? Cool. Okay. So the trick to doing this, and you already probably understand this yourself, the trick to doing it is using testimonials well. Because when you pair great images of yourself with great testimonials, what your clients see is their guide, their person to solve their problems. So testimonials are going to help you sell your services because they do all of the convincing for you. And so while you can't guarantee people results, testimonials are going to help your future clients understand what's possible for them when they hire you and understand the value of your services. So here's an example of a nice but kind of like wah wah testimonial. So this one says, overall, working with Cami was a wonderful experience. She's an extremely talented woman with an amazing eye for design, and I love my new website. And this testimonial makes me as the designer feel really warm and fuzzy, but it's not going to help me sell premium websites to my future clients because it's not showing a transformation. So a transformation can be shown in a lot of different ways, and I want to highlight some of those for you today to give you some inspiration. So a transformation can be shown through feelings, like this testimonial from my client Maggie, who says, before hiring Cami, I didn't want to show my website because of embarrassment. Today, I'm happily sharing my site. It feels awesome. So we've got the before, which is the embarrassment, and the after, which is happily sharing, and that's a really valuable transformation that's based in Maggie's feelings and her experience. A transformation can also be shown through data. So here my client Ron says that after launching his new website, he saw his email opt-ins increase by 43% and his website visits increase by 300%. So really fact-based, hard numbers that show a before and after transformation from his website. And a transformation can also be shown through a story. So my client Laura wrote to me after we launched her site and she said, I checked in with her. I said, hey, how's it been going? You know, what's been happening since we launched? And she wrote back and she said, I got new clients. After launching, I had a photo shoot and my new client said, we knew we wanted you the minute we clicked on your website. So this isn't feelings and it's not hard numbers, but it is a story. It's an anecdote about something that happened in Laura's business that was awesome after we launched her site. And so using these three kinds of testimonials are going to help your future clients understand the value of working with you, help you communicate the kind of return on investment you can get with people, and do it in a way that's like not cheesy at all, because it's just truthful. So now you know what makes a really good testimonial. It's time to show them off. So the secret here is that you can actually get a ton of mileage out of your testimonials. So if you're just starting out, or if you only have a couple of like really amazing ones that you want to broadcast everywhere, that's more than enough, because the more you share, the more selling your testimonials are going to do for you. So here are 10 different design tricks I've used to get mileage out of one single awesome, great testimonial. Okay, ready? Because 10's a lot, but it's so possible. Okay, so I've used this great testimonial from my client Laura, who said that her new website helped her book 30 photo shoots in 1 month. Amazing. I've used it on my praise page on my website. I've also used it on my homepage. I've included Laura in a list of results that my clients get. I've also used it on my homepage twice. So you can see at the top of the example here, it's in a bulleted list. And then at the bottom of the example here, it's in a kind of a fuller testimonial style. So used it twice on my homepage. Then I've also used it on my portfolio page. So when I'm talking about Laura's project, instead of saying like, Laura's a photographer and we work together to build a new website, I've actually just excerpted this testimonial as the project description. So people are reading it on the portfolio page. I've also used it as a case study in my portfolio. So like a nice fleshed out case study. Then I've used it as a blog post. I took that case study and I turned it into a blog post. It's the exact same content. It's just in a slightly different format. Then I used that testimonial and that blog post in an email to my email list. Then I made it an Instagram story and I also saved it to highlights so that it doesn't disappear. Then I turned it into 9 Instagram posts, 9, just the one case study, the one testimonial. And then I took those 9 Instagram posts and I took the exact same content, the exact same graphics, and I popped it over into 9 different Facebook posts. And that is the 10 ways that I've used and leveraged this one testimonial, the 10 like dead simple design hacks. So the takeaway that I want you to get from this is to sell your services and attract those premium high-end clients without sounding like an infomercial. I want you to take your very best testimonials and put them absolutely everywhere. And if you have places that I did not include in my list of 10, please tell me about them, because I want to know where you're using them and how you're sharing these things, because really you need to share them far and wide. A good friend of mine said that when you repeat yourself in your business, it's not being repetitive, it's being on message. And I think that's so true, particularly when it comes to sharing stories about your clients and sharing those testimonials. So I want to know from you in the chat, let me and Erin know if you had an ideal testimonial, if you already have one, or if you want to craft one right now. What would your dreamy ideal testimonial say?
While we're waiting for those, Gregoria says, oh my God, you're dropping pure gold. And Nicola says, absolute gold. They are loving how you're repurposing all of these testimonials.
Repurposing all day, every day for the win. And I'm so serious, guys. If you can think of more places to use them that I haven't mentioned, pop it in the chat or send me a DM on Instagram, because I am just a huge fan of repurposing all kinds of content. As many places as I can put it, the better.
Awesome. And then they're saying things like results achieved, real data and numbers, putting those things into the testimonials.
Yeah, and one trick, we can talk more about this in Q&A if there are questions around that, but one trick for that, because your clients may or may not be reading their own Google Analytics, is you can go in and you can pull those numbers. You can send your client an email and say, hey, I just looked at your analytics and I noticed that we boosted your email opt-ins by 43% in a month and upped your web traffic by 300% since we launched. Is it cool if I use that in a testimonial? And your client will probably write back and say, I'm so excited that we achieved those results. Yes. And then you've enlightened the client, you've gotten their approval, and you've crafted a really amazing testimonial. Cool. All right. So let's talk about my favorite platform to create gorgeous high-end websites. This is a platform that my clients pay me $5,000 or more to use. And I guarantee that this is probably going to surprise you. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I am not a website platform maniac. I'm not going to yell at you and tell you you're using the wrong thing if you use something different to me. I truly believe there is no one perfect website platform out there. It's up to figuring out what's the best fit for your clients, what's the best fit for you, and then going with that. So I'm going to share my personal experience and my personal preferences with you guys here. But know if you're using something different, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. So my favorite platform for myself and for my clients is Squarespace. I am obsessed with Squarespace. I got started in web design, learning how to code PHP and design WordPress themes, built WordPress sites for myself and my clients for a while, then switched everything over to Squarespace after my clients kept asking me for it. And I was like, well, shoot, I better figure out what this thing is if they all want it. And nowadays I am completely obsessed with Squarespace. I have a course all about it. It's just my very favorite. And here's why. So you might be thinking, like this person who DM'd me on Instagram, you might be thinking, hang on a tick, $5,000 for a Squarespace website? Is that really possible? This person DM'd me and she said, I'm interested how you address the question of why you charge so much for a Squarespace site, because you're not designing from scratch and a lot of people aren't going to take it as seriously. Now, no offense to the lovely person who DM'd me on Instagram, but that could not be further from the truth. It's a huge, gigantic myth. So when I shifted my mindset from business owner to freelancer, when I learned how to design strategically, and when I stepped out front and center in my business, I realized a few really important things. First of all, is that I do not need to build websites from scratch for them to be valuable to my clients. In fact, it's the opposite, because complicated technology stops my clients from getting the results that they want. In a similar vein, I realized that using a page builder tool isn't cheating. So whether that's Squarespace or Beaver Builder or Divi or whatever, it's not cheating. Page builders are tools that make your life easier, makes your clients' lives easier, and they are an amazing solution that most of your clients want and expect. They add value to your projects. They don't take value away. And then on a personal note, I don't give a you-know-what if my photographer is using a Nikon camera or a Canon camera or a Kodak or whatever. I just want amazing brand photos. I don't care how she gets there. And it's the same for your website clients. So if you specialize in a specific platform like I do, you might have people coming to you asking for that platform in particular. But you might also have a lot of clients who are coming to you who just want a solution to their problems. And it's your job to use the tech tools that you use to solve their problems. They don't actually care what you use to get there. They just want to get there. So Squarespace isn't the right fit for every project. It's not the right fit for major e-commerce brands. Those should go live on Shopify. It's not the right fit for websites with a ton of content like the New York Times or Mind Body Green, but it's a really great solution for my particular niche, which is small business owners, service-based business owners, digital product creators, online course creators, authors, speakers, personal brands, all of those people. Squarespace is awesome. And this really applies to any page builder you might use, right? And that's because Squarespace helps my clients save time. There's no plugins for them to manage. There's no tech maintenance. Everything is just clear and simple, and it just works, and they can't break it. It also helps my clients save a ton of money in the long term. They can go in and they can swap out images and change copy and add new features without hiring me or hiring a developer. It's all in their court, which is amazing. And Squarespace has everything that clients in my particular niche need. My clients nearly all need their websites to have a blog, to maybe have an events calendar, to integrate with a scheduling software like Acuity, to integrate with an email software like ConvertKit. Squarespace does all of those things. What absolutely none of my clients need is 700,000 plugins to choose from, maintain, and also worry about hacking and stuff like that. So Squarespace is not only a great solution for my clients, but it's awesome for me too, because it helps me as the designer save time. I'm not reinventing the wheel or researching a ton of new things for each project, which means that each project I do is more and more profitable because I can do it in less time. It also helps me keep it simple. Research from Google shows that visitors strongly prefer web designs that are both simple and familiar. And Squarespace has this whole library of beautiful templates that are designed to be just that. So it gives me this great starting point to create a website that'll get my clients results. And because I'm not worrying about all of this tech or all of this research stuff, which I can fully get into, but I've realized that it's not a value add for my clients. What is a value add is that Squarespace allows me to focus on strategy. I don't need to get in the nitty-gritty tech weeds with things like database migrations and all of that fun stuff. I have more time on Squarespace to focus on strategic design, and that's the one thing that really matters to my clients. That's the one thing that helps them get results from the project and helps them get value out of investing with me. So I've chosen to use a platform that makes that the focus of all of my work. So the takeaway here is that if you want to charge $5,000 or more for your projects, you can do that on any tech tool, on any platform you want. It is not about the tech tool. I want you to focus on working with the platform that's the best solution for your clients' problems, and also that's the best match for you as a designer, not the platform that's the most complicated. So let us know in the chat. Are you excited to start creating solutions for your clients rather than just websites?
Daryl says getting results for your clients is more important than the tools you use to do it, which is just so true.
It's so true. Yeah, your tools they're a vehicle. They're like a channel. They help you get to those end results, but they are not the thing that you sell, because if you sell the tool itself, you are going to be competing against, if I was selling only Squarespace, I would be competing against every single freelancer charging $10 on Upwork. I would be competing against Squarespace itself, against all of the YouTubers. It would be a full nightmare. But instead, I'm not selling Squarespace. I'm selling a solution to my clients' problems. And it just so happens that Squarespace is one of the tools that we're going to use to get to that solution. But the positioning is very, very different.
100%. Janet is pumped to start selling solutions. It looks like everybody's really excited to kind of do this mindset shift into how they're positioning what they're selling.
Awesome. I love it, you guys. Yeah, this is a blend. Getting to $5,000 or more for your projects, like we've talked about today, is really a blend of mindset. It's a blend of design and messaging and positioning. So if you can wrangle all of those things together, you're going to be in such a good spot. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, and I want to get into Q&A really soon because I know I can see the chat like lighting up. I know we probably have a lot of questions. So to recap, today you learned about the one shift that I made to go from charging that measly little 500 to 5,000 or more with confidence, even though I don't have a degree in graphic design. And that's really that mindset piece of things that we've been talking about. It's so, if you do nothing else, do the mindset work. I swear it'll change everything. Then the second thing we talked about is the number one design skill you need to master if you want to charge those premium prices, right? So you can have the best mindset in the whole world, but if you don't understand how to design strategically and get your clients results, the two pieces of the puzzle aren't going to line up. So you need to master strategic design skills as well. The third thing we talked about is why hiding behind your portfolio is a mistake and what to do instead. That's all about leveraging mindset and also design so that you can step out as a leader for your clients and really create that premium brand experience for them from day one. We talked about a simple design trick to help you promote your services, and that's using your testimonials and repurposing them everywhere. So again, this is a blend of both design and messaging and positioning. And then we talked about my favorite platform to create gorgeous high-end websites and why it doesn't really matter which tech tools you use and why you should not be selling tech tools. And so hopefully through all of this today, you've seen just how doable it is to get to those premium prices, get to that $5,000 or more through a blend of mindset, design skills, and strategy, really, strategy and messaging. So I want you guys to remember before we hop into Q&A that nothing that I've shared with you today is just theory or ideas. These are all things that I've personally done myself, tried and tested to go from charging $500 to $5,000 or more in a fairly short period of time. I also want you to remember that me and Erin are not tech and design unicorns. Neither of us went to college for this stuff, and neither of us has access to any special tools you don't have. You've seen what I use. It's Squarespace. Anybody can buy Squarespace. Erin is a WordPress girl herself, but you know, it's really, these tools that we're talking about are very accessible. It's nothing special. So if Erin and I can do this, typo in there. If Erin and I can do this, I promise that you can as well. It's very, very doable. It can happen in a short amount of time, and you have everything you need from this workshop today to go and get it done. So with all of that said, you probably have some questions. I want to get into Q&A with you guys. So I'm going to stop sharing and come back to camera, and we can have a chat about this. All right. How's everyone feeling?
We've had such a good discussion going on in the chat, like so many great things happening in there.
I love it. Cool. Yeah, you guys have been, Ariel says this has been amazing. You guys have been amazing. All of the energy that I could feel like coming from the chat and watching those little lights go, like it's great. Thank you for being here. All right, so we got any questions coming through in that Q&A tab?
Let's see. There aren't any open questions, so I think maybe, is there a way to go back through and mark them, or do they have to do that?
You know, there isn't a way to go back through and mark them. So guys, we will take questions right now that are coming through in real time. But if you want to do us a favor, go find the Q&A link that's on your screen somewhere. And if you'd asked a question previously, just pop it in that Q&A link for us so that we can access it. And then we can just take the ones that are coming through now. So Nicola says, do you always have a free sales call? And is this before you send the welcome document? You want to take that one, Erin?
Yeah, sure. So I always is is a rough term. So I do not always, because a lot of the people are screened out before we would ever get to that portion. So I never just hop on a call with somebody. They fill out my inquiry form. I send them an intro packet, which kind of pre-screens them. And if they agree to everything that I outline there, then we do get on a call. I do think calls are super, super important when it comes to making sure you're on the same page. I do not recommend building a website without that. But I do definitely automate a lot of my screening through an intro packet first.
Yeah, agreed. So I like to have a sales call, Nicola, because I feel like although my offerings are quite productized, I've got very specific packages for a very specific kind of person. They could technically just buy it now, but I feel like I, like Erin, like to have that FaceTime with the client just so I can figure out if there's somebody that I want to work with and just have that initial conversation. So I have had people buy, I've had quite a few people actually buy directly on the consult call. They're like, I'm ready, give you my credit card details, I'm going to pay in full, or I'm going to put down my deposit. And that's what I would consider a kind of buy it now situation. But yeah, I feel like the sales call is often as much for me as it is for them.
Richard asked if we still have people coming to us expecting lower prices, or do they get filtered before they get to you?
Oh, I love this. So I think, Richard, that your website needs to be not only your hype man, but also your bouncer. So if you're doing it right, it should be filtering out people who aren't a good fit to work with you. And this could be through listing prices, starting at prices. It could be through having a section on your website that says, you're my perfect client if boom, boom, boom. You're not my perfect client if boom, boom, boom. Like you'll see on my website, I have something where I say that I'm not for e-commerce brands because I'm not, and I don't get any e-commerce inquiries. And I list starting at prices. So my people come to me pretty well filtered because I personally think there is nothing more awkward than being on a sales call with someone who's expecting something to cost $15 and it really costs like 15,000, and it's just a horrible experience for everybody. So I like to be very transparent with my clients.
I completely agree with that. And for those skimmers, I do have starting at prices on my website, but on the inquiry form itself, I have their budget, and underneath it, it auto fills it at 10,500, which is my minimum. But underneath it also says our projects start at. And so
Nice.
it's just a little reminder for those people who have skimmed through quickly.
Yeah, and I've done it. Look, there are arguments to be made on every single side of this. And I know people who are super successful doing it every which way, listing prices, not listing prices, not even giving somebody prices on a sales call unless that person agrees that they want to work together. Like I've seen every level of transparency or like hoops to jump through, and you can be successful no matter what. But for me personally, I've just always really hated wasting time on sales calls with people who can't afford me. So I like to put that information out there. So it's about, test and change, find what works for you. That's just what works for me. There's no one perfect way to do it, but I'm a big pricing fan.
Me too. And I would just add on to that. I think the people who are super successful with not listing prices at all are targeting a super high end audience. You're talking like then probably over $20,000 for a project. So everything is super custom quoted, and the people who they're attracting are already expecting a ridiculously high price. And so that is just kind of a totally different target audience versus somebody who's charging $10,000 or less.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're, if I go to somebody's website for a photographer, for example, and they don't list their pricing, I assume it's probably going to be so much that I don't want to pay it. And so
Yes.
it's just not listing pricing means high end. So I
Yeah.
normally recommend list it, at least a starting at.
Well, it also makes you, I had an experience recently where I had like a free session with one of the amazing people in my web design course. She gave me like a free meditation session and then followed up with me with some info about how we can work together more deeply. But is doing this thing is working with a business coach who says, don't give anybody pricing unless they are on a sales call with you. And I knew that now wasn't the right time to work together. I didn't want to hop on a call and like waste her time and waste my time, but I couldn't get prices from her. And I thought like, this is such a shame because I really enjoyed that session with her. And she just sort of made herself unreferable. Like I'm not going to hire her right now because it's not the right timing for me, but I would happily refer her. But I need to know like rough price range to do that. And I was just like, it was kind of a bummer.
I completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see bare minimum a starting at
Yeah.
price so that I can be prepared.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we have a question here. What poses do you recommend in a photo shoot? Well, I have a lot of thoughts about that. And the best place, I'll be honest with you, we probably don't have time to get into all of them today. I have actually like an entire module in my course all about this because I'm so enthusiastic about photography. But real like broad strokes, you want to go look for inspiration images first, find brands whose photography you love and start dissecting them. Are all of the images shot on a third? Like, is somebody over in one corner and there's a lot of blank space? Is that person posing with their hand on their hip, or are they like pointing and looking at some text? What are they doing? And why is it working for them? So look at those inspiration images that you like and think, what's going on here, like logistically? And why is it working? Is it that they're pointing and looking in a certain direction, and that means on their web design they're allowed to have some text here and it makes it look like they're pointing at it? Like, what is good about this? Make yourself a little list. You can craft like a little shot list and then take those visual examples in that list to your photographer and say like, here's what I'm going for. How can we make this happen? That's my quick tip about photography.
I have zero to add because mine were taken in my living room and I have to hire a professional photographer.
Awesome.
Barbara had a great question that I totally related to. And this is why I've been putting off actually hiring a professional photographer. Hers was about introverts showing themselves on their site. I've now gotten more comfortable with that, but feeling uncomfortable in front of the camera too, she had mentioned in the chat earlier. Like, what tips do you have around, one, doing the photos in the first place, and two, feeling okay with plastering them all over your site?
Yeah, tequila. No, I'm kidding. I think understanding that it's about you, but it's not about you. So yes, you are the person in the photos. Yes, you are putting your face on your website, but you're doing it so that you can better connect to your clients, so that you can better like solve their problems and reach out to them and connect with them and then help them achieve their big visions through working with you. So it's just about, for me, it's helped to recognize that my purpose and like what I'm trying to do here is a lot bigger than my fear. And it's a lot bigger than any like little sort of trip I'm going on in my head about like, oh, I'm not photogenic, or like, oh, I'm an introvert, or oh, whatever. Like, yes, but you can't let that hold you back and stop you. And you can't let it prevent you from connecting with the people that you're meant to work with. And really good professional photography is one of the best, easiest ways to do that. And also, good lighting is magic. Good photographers are magic. So if you've never had pro photos taken before and you look at pictures of yourself and you're like, ooh, not into it, a professional photographer will fix all of that. So that's my take on it.
And I would also add to that when you have kind of planned your shoot, like you've mentioned before, like getting those photo ideas together, it's going to feel so much less awkward because you're going to know, yeah, like I'm going to stand like this and we're going to take a photo and I know how it's going to be framed. So it's not the same as what do I do? And then you're like relying totally on a photographer that you just met for direction, but they maybe don't understand what you're trying to do with your website in the first place. So I think having that kind of photo list is like a big thing when it goes to photography and feeling comfortable with what you're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. We've got another good question here from Glynette, who says, which would you prioritize first, professional copy or photography? Personally, Glynette, if you could only spend your money on one thing right now, I would spend it on photography. And the reason for that, copy is incredibly important. You know, what you say to people after you have their attention is very important. But the reason for me saying that is because with copy, your niche might change, your packages might change, your position in the market might change, your messaging might change. And if you've just gone and invested all of your money in professional copy, you may not be as nimble as you want to be, whereas those professional photos will go with you wherever you're going. So they're a really smart investment. Use them, book a couple of high-end clients, then go hire that copywriter.
So I would completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh, Tetsu had asked, where and how do you get those amazing photos? Do you have tips for finding a great photographer?
I do. So first things first is understand that most photographers are shooting for people's family portrait albums. They're shooting for weddings. They are not shooting only for websites, and they may or may not understand the nuances of a website or like how the internet works. So I've had a few clients before I like developed all my systems around pictures. I had some clients at the beginning come to me with gorgeous images that were all cropped like right here in portrait style, and I was like, the web goes this way, like I can't do anything with these. So I think the most important thing is to do your research ahead of time, make that shot list like we were talking about, and then go when you're interviewing photographers, talk to them about it, about what you want and why it's important to you, and then check out examples from their portfolio. So if they are shooting everything, like if they're a really traditional headshot photographer and they're shooting everything here, you know they're probably not your person. I've actually had really good luck with wedding photographers because they're used to shooting at a little bit more of a distance, and they're used to shooting a lot of movement and like people in natural action. So that can be a nice translation to web as well. But yeah, get that shot list, do your research, ask for recommendations, all of that good stuff.
That's a great tip.
Oh, and take a ton. If you can find a photographer, like I hired my photographer specifically because she was like, I'm not going to put a limit on how many photos I give you. I'm going to shoot like 2,000, I'll cull them down to like 900, and then you can just have all 900 files. So then I got to go through and decide this one works well in a layout, this one doesn't. This is right for me, this isn't. Whereas a lot of photographers will only give you like 15 to 20 images. And again, because they're not web designers, they just don't know which ones are the best ones.
I love that tip. And I think even if somebody's not a photographer that's used to doing that, have that conversation with them and say, here's kind of like what I'm looking for and why. And I would say, you know, most photographers or small business owners like us, they'll get it. They'll be able to make a quote for us and get that worked out. So I think that that's probably the most important part because, yeah, they don't necessarily understand how the web works. It goes this way.
this way, guys. We have Gregoria in the chat laughing about the web goes this way. It does. Amazing.
Awesome. Ari had asked how do we feel about designing on Wix compared to Squarespace, WordPress, or Shopify?
Yeah, so I think that all of these platforms do really different things, right? So Shopify is the e-commerce leader out there. So if the main way your client makes money is through physical products, Shopify can be a great fit. WordPress does all of the things, but I find that it's particularly great for clients who have an absolute ton of content, and the main way they make money is through their content. They really need sophisticated ways to filter and categorize it. Squarespace is really ideal for my clients who are service-based business owners, digital product creators, people who need a beautiful website that does all the things well, but they don't need a ton of like really custom functionality. And then Wix in the marketplace is positioned as very much like a DIY website builder. So I see Wix as being like outside of this main three totally. I see it as being a solution for like a consumer who just wants to build a quick website and they're maybe not a business owner. Wix doesn't scale, so you'll run into the limitations of it pretty quickly in a way that you won't on the other platforms. And also just from a personal perspective, I've never seen a website that I thought looked professional that was built on Wix. I might be wrong here. I'm not saying that it's like the worst thing ever. I just personally haven't seen one that I thought looked like it was done by a designer. And so for those reasons, but for particularly the limitations of it, that's why I don't recommend Wix. And I think about the big three of Squarespace, WordPress, and Shopify for my clients. And if they need WordPress or Shopify, if those are truly the best platforms for them, I send them to my friends.
I'm going to have a slight disagreement because I do actually have a couple students who have killed it on Wix. But I will say it's not used nearly as much as the other platforms. And I do think can be a harder sale to clients because it is positioned as a DIY platform more so than the other ones. So if they hear that it's Wix, then they're like, well, why can't I do this myself? So it can be more difficult. I'm trying to find one of my students' websites. I'll put, when I find it, I'll put it in the chat. But it can be done well, but it is, I think, more difficult of a sale. And again, it doesn't have quite the scalability. So for some industries, it can work. But I would encourage you that if you're just getting started and you haven't chosen a platform yet, maybe go away from Wix and go to Squarespace or WordPress or Shopify, because those are, I feel like, also a little bit more stable and professional, like in the web design realm.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I lost the Q&A.
All good. Oh, Lisa, I'll answer this one from Lisa really quickly. She says, what's the average price range for a branding photo shoot? Honestly, Lisa, this answer is going to sound like so annoying, but it totally depends on where you live, who your photographer is. Like, it can vary as much as websites, you know. So a photographer in New York City is going to be more expensive than a photographer in, you know, a small town somewhere whose cost of living might be lower. The kind of session you do depends. Like, I've seen people who do these really fancy branding sessions that are $10,000 or more. And I also have had clients get amazing photos, really great photos for a $500 shoot. So there is a huge range out there. You just need to do your research and figure out like what's the right price point for you. I know that's annoying. All right, we have a question from Keisha here, which actually would be a great question for you, Erin, which is, any tips on finding your first few premium clients when breaking into your niche? She's done a few projects in her niche already, but they were cheaper for smaller budgets, people who were a little bit more like hobbyists than business owners. So she's going after now people in her niche with bigger budgets and serious businesses, maybe a little further along. So she wants to know, should I just keep marketing and waiting for them to find me, or should I go out and pitch those more established businesses?
So you can definitely kind of cold pitch a business. I don't actually recommend this. Here's what I recommend doing. I recommend finding people in that niche, or finding people who are maybe someone else who works with people in that niche, and having coffee chats and connecting. And what I mean by that is saying something like, hey, Cami, I see that you work with so-and-so. Can we get together and have coffee online? We, set up like a 30-minute call. We chat, we get to know each other, and we figure out if there's some way that we can kind of collaborate and work together. So then when she gets a client, let's say Cami is a copywriter for that niche, and I'm the web designer, she will then say, oh, hey, you need a web designer too. Let me refer you to my friend Erin, because she makes awesome websites for businesses like yours. So when you establish those kinds of connections, you get the referral power working for you, which, by the way, referrals, like the best marketing tool you can ever possibly have, because we can talk about how great we are all day. When it comes from somebody else, it's much more powerful, like the testimonial example. So if you can find people who are already serving the niche, that higher end part of the niche, connect with them, and then have them start sending clients your way, that would be where I would focus my efforts, especially as you're getting established in serving those particular people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such good advice. I 100% agree. And I would also add to that, don't discount those first couple of like cheap clients that you did to get your feet wet, because those testimonials and those referrals can be solid gold. It doesn't matter how much those people paid you. So, I've got a couple of testimonials that I love dearly and share all over the place that came from clients at the beginning of my business that helped me land high-end projects all the time. But those particular clients didn't pay high-end prices, but it doesn't matter. So make sure that you're getting those testimonials from your current clients, and that you're asking them for referrals, because you don't know who they know. Don't assume that all the people they know are just like them with the same budgets. You never know. So yeah, like Erin said, create relationships with people in parallel services to you, like a web designer copywriter relationship is a really good one. And then also make sure that you're doing everything you can to leverage those couple of clients that you've already had.
100%.
We had a couple of questions pop up about my website copy and did I do it myself or hire a copywriter? Writing your own web copy is incredibly difficult, just like designing your own website is hard. And it's because it's like sitting inside a Coke bottle trying to read the label, like trying to read the outside of the label while you're like inside, you're just too close. So I totally do recommend writing your own web copy while your niche and your products and your services are still evolving. But if you can hire a professional copywriter, it can be incredibly impactful and powerful. It definitely was for me. And I learned a ton that I then took over to all of my client projects too, that made those projects even more valuable. Did you write your copy, Erin, or did you hire somebody?
So I wrote my own copy, but I'm working with the same copywriter that you hired to refine it.
Yes, didn't you join her mastermind?
Yes, so cool. I'm in a mastermind with her currently, which is my way of getting her to review a crap ton of copy. I have, because I have so ridiculously much. I was like, hire her? Or hire her this way. So it's really kind of a great way. And I'm not saying like that everybody should do this. Sometimes you just want to get your copy written and whatever, but I like to have my own tone to things and have a copywriter strengthen it. Because I do create so many blog posts and other content that I want to ensure that everything sounds like me and not just my website sounds super great and then everything I put on Facebook or Instagram sounds totally different. So for me, that kind of a process works better. But for other people, like especially those struggling to even get a website up because they find copy intimidating, hire a copywriter. It is like, it's the second best money you'll invest in your business after that professional photo shoot.
100% agree. And I just love so much, like, I think you brought up such a good point. Like there are lots of different ways that you can get professional help at lots of different price points. So like, yes, you could hire the copywriter to write your whole website, or you could write your copy and then hire somebody to polish it up and make it better, or join their mastermind, or just like book an hour of their time, or do a trade, or whatever. Like there are so many ways to make that happen. So if you just get a little creative, you can do it. And everyone's asking who it is.
Yeah, I'll pull up her website. It's Hillary Weiss.
Yeah, Hillary's great.
And I'll pop that in the chat. She is incredible. And you want to talk about an incredible website design and branding? She's got it.
Yeah, Hillary has some very, very good brand photos. And she worked with Sarah and Calmo Ashman of Public Persona. And if you're looking for brand photography inspiration, go check out Sarah's work at publicpersona.com. You will recognize pictures in her portfolio from all over the internet. She is so good at what she does, and her photos are really inspiring. So it can be a great resource to look at, to be like, why is this brand photo great? Why do I love it so much? And start like dissecting things for yourself. All right. Gregoria wants to know, how do you recommend getting these website clients? Like how do you mean like, how do you find clients, Gregoria? Or how do you reach like high-end clients? Okay, she said yes. How do you find clients?
Well, for me, I still recommend finding people who are serving the same audience. So again, those copywriters, especially if you're brand new to business, you should be reaching out to people. Three people per week is my recommendation until you're booked out. And then you can cut it down a little bit. But that way you're reaching out to, copywriters. You might be reaching out to brand photographers. You might be reaching out to people who do SEO or Google Analytics, and you're scheduling those coffee chats and you're talking to them and you're building those relationships. Now, not every single one is going to turn into a great relationship that's going to get you referrals, but the ones that do will send you some great work. And if you're charging $5,000 or more, we did the math earlier, you don't need a ridiculous number of clients. So if you can have 5 people that you can create a great connection with, who are sending you referrals regularly, then you're going to be pretty darn set. And also don't discount your just general network too. If you are really new and you really don't know anybody serving your audience, you surely know people in your life who may know someone in your audience. So send 3 emails a week, say, hey, Cami, I'm starting this business. I'm doing web design for this type of a client. If you know anybody, please send them my way. Again, just set some time aside every single week, 3 emails, keep like a Google Doc or a spreadsheet of who you've emailed so that you're not, sending the same email to somebody every single week. But that is going to be a faster way to get booked out than social media. Social media is great. It's a longer game though. So I would encourage these more personal connections if you don't have clients.
100% agreed. In-person events can be also a great way to make those personal connections, and make sure that you're asking for what you want. You are telling people how you work with people, how they can hire you, how they can help you. You're asking people in those coffee chats, what can I do to support your business? What do you need right now? They'll ask you the same question, and you can lay it out there for them. Like, don't be shy and beat around the bush, because you don't get what you don't ask for. So make sure you're asking, and then make sure you're keeping those relationships alive. It may be an immediate thing. It may not be. Things sometimes take months or years to materialize, and you never know where it's going to come from. So make sure that you're staying in touch with those people that you're connecting with, and just dropping in on them occasionally and being like, hey, like, so you just got married, like, congratulations, so awesome, how's business? Like, let's hop on the phone again, like keep it alive.
Yeah, and that's one of the things is, like, it does not have to be complicated. Like, don't overcomplicate your staying in touch with people. Literally, like, you can obviously get like a CRM or something, but you can also just keep that spreadsheet, and every 2 or 3 months, just follow up with people and say, hey, what's new? And like you said, I saw you got married, or I saw you post this cute picture of your daughter on Instagram. Like, it doesn't have to be a big deal. You're just touching base and you're keeping that connection alive.
Yeah, agreed. And on a similar note, Nadine asks, do you give referral fees?
I don't. I know people who do, but, and I tried that earlier in my business, but then I just felt like, for me, it felt like people were sending bad fits my way in the hope that they would get paid. And then I also kind of felt the pressure, like, oh, I could send it to Cami, who's a great fit, or I could send it to Stephanie, who's going to give me $500. Right? Like, that's not how you want your business to be. That's not the best option for the client. You want to just have a good relationship with people where you make referrals and you don't have this kind of monetary, like a connection instead. Like, you want it to just be more goodwill and we're helping each other out.
For sure. And I love what Janet said here in the chat, which is that sometimes she sends a small thank you gift for a referral. Love that. I've sent gifts, I've sent cards. A little gesture is really nice. But yeah, like Erin said, like, I don't do referral fees either, because it makes the relationship, it changes the relationship. And I think that there's already value in providing a referral, because everyone loves to have the solution and have the answer and look good and do someone a favor. And so, like, if I can sit here and say, like, oh yeah, you should go hire Hillary for copy, she's amazing, like, that makes me feel so good to be able to tell you that and help you out, and I don't need a kickback from Hillary to do it.
Totally. And I like the gift idea too. I've done that with people who send me clients pretty regularly. I'll send them, I figure out when their birthday is, and then I send them something around their birthday. So then it's just, I send them a gift every year, and it's not necessarily tied specifically to you sent me clients, but it still has that goodwill, and it's fun for them to open.
I love that. That's so thoughtful. Awesome. Well, if we have any more questions here, we'll take a couple of last ones. If not, we can wrap this party up, let you go off into your day. While we're wrapping up, if you've got any last questions, pop them in there. Or if you liked this workshop, had any takeaways, give us a smiley face or a yes or something. That would be good too. And I wanted to say thank you, Erin, so much for hosting this. This was really, really fun.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a fantastic training. I think everybody's loved it. I've seen so many people in the chat who I think the mindset thing that you shared, is going to be like one of the biggest and hardest shifts to make, but also the most important shift to make in a business if you want to start charging those premium prices.
100% agreed. Yeah. Your brain will mess up everything or enable everything. It's so powerful. So if you can get your brain on your side, you can do anything. All right. Thank you all so much for being here and for your time today. It was just an absolute pleasure. Like we said in the beginning, come find me and Erin over on Instagram. Send us a DM. Let us know, what your takeaways were, how you're going to take action on this. I'm at Cami Farey, and then Erin is at Erin3Flynn, which we can pop in the chat here. And yeah, can't wait to hear from you and just see what you do with this.
Thank you again so much, Cami, and thank you everybody for tuning in. This has been so fun.
It's been awesome. All right, bye guys.